Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I'm your host, the voice of reason. So, in today's episode, I wanted to look at the strategic implications of the Horn of Africa being brought into the Chinese sphere of influence, or even furthermore, actually entering into some sort of military alliance with the Chinese communists. Well, we know one thing is for certain that the Chinese are seeking to become the world's dominant military capability and create in itself a new superpower, possibly even going beyond what you would define as the current major superpower in the world, and that is the United States. And why China could, in fact, possibly at some point surpass the United States in terms of the use of military power, the creation of military power, is it is an authoritarian regime. China is not a democracy. The people do not govern China. The people, the government of China, the Communist Party, does not answer to the people. The people answer to the Communist Party. And right now, the Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army is going through one of the largest military buildups in the history of humanity. Their naval power is expanding rapidly. Their air force is expanding rapidly. And quite literally, with the flick of a switch, you could see the Chinese industrial complex completely transform into a military industrial complex if it chose to. And that is concerning, obviously, to the United States, and it should also be of concern to China's neighbors, specifically Russia. You know, right now, Russia is very cozy with China. China provides lots of hard currency for Russia. But at some point, in eastern Russia, in Siberia, the population of Siberia is going to become mostly Mandarin Chinese. And at some point, the relationship could sour, as it has done in the past. And China would have the capability to take some of these lands from Russia. And I think I'm getting off a little bit and talking about far future, but I wanted to get back to the Horn of Africa. And you can see now Ethiopia, you can see Eritrea falling into the sphere of this Chinese juggernaut that is becoming more and more powerful. Eritrea is a despotic regime. It is an authoritarian regime, much like China. Ethiopia is now heading towards the same sort of despotic regime that exists inside of Eritrea and China. And we could see these two countries rapidly at some point fall within the sphere of China. And why is that bad? Well, the Horn of Africa sets at a vital junction, a vital crossroads. If reasonable Chinese forces were brought to bear and deployed inside of Eritrea. And what I mean by reasonable, it would not need to be a very large force that could completely disrupt shipping through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. And again, this is a vital access point for shipping and commerce and the movements of even naval ships from the United States and other Western powers. So that would be shut down. And then you would have this access with Ethiopia, led by Abiy Ahmed, again, which is rapidly becoming an authoritarian regime in and of itself. Eritrea, which is an authoritarian regime. You would then quite possibly see Somalia fall into that sphere of influence. And the fairly minor outpost that the United States has inside of Djibouti would effectively be surrounded. And at the same time, this would provide military capability for the Chinese to project power into the Arabian Sea, obviously the Gulf of Aden, and even with the use of ballistic missiles, could target the Persian Gulf. Absolutely could target the Persian Gulf. So what is occurring inside of the Tigray region? What is occurring inside of Ethiopia indeed has global implications. The Chinese are now making its move. This is not a coincidence that Abiy Ahmed has ordered anti-American demonstrations inside the capital of Addis Ababa. There is a reason behind this. And the moral compass of the West, of the United States, does not set well with the route Ethiopia is heading under Abiy Ahmed. Abiy Ahmed is heading towards, if not already there, towards a totalitarian regime, an authoritarian regime, much like the People's Republic of China, much like Eritrea. And once this happens, any idea of returning to some sort of state of democracy, of some sort of representation by the people of Ethiopia will be gone, especially once the Chinese gain a foothold inside of Ethiopia. If that actually happens and we see Chinese military bases popping up inside of Ethiopia, if we see Chinese military bases popping up inside of Eritrea, and actual alliances taking shape and military pacts forming, this would be of great unfortunate significance for both the West and indeed Ethiopia itself. At first, the infusion of cash and the infusion of military capability that could be handed over to Ethiopia could be significant. And that is probably why Mr. Abiy Ahmed is looking towards China, because the United States at this point is not going to hand over advanced weapon systems to a regime that is killing its own people. It's not going to do that. But at the same time, Ethiopia needs these weapons in order to attempt to put down what is going on inside of the Tigray region. It needs these weapons, it needs training, it needs resources. And right now, a lot of that has been cut off by the United States. But as I've said before, this is quickly heading towards something I don't think the West really understands. The nature of the conflict that could occur inside of Ethiopia in terms of the ethnic strife. At the same time, once the Chinese are able to get into Ethiopia and again give these weapons to Ethiopia and more weapons, more training, air-powered drones, it's going to lead to unprecedented atrocities against the people, not only of the Tigray region, but the people of the Oromia region as well. And that is, again, something that I don't think right now the West really sees coming. I don't think they see the nature of the conflict that is taking shape inside of Ethiopia, and at the same time, the grand strategic implications of a Chinese foothold inside of the Horn of Africa, and what that could mean in the case of a world conflict with China, which we appear to be heading that way at some point. China has these grand strategic ambitions, and one of those ambitions, obviously, is to gain control of Taiwan. Could China take control of Taiwan now? Does it have that capability? No, it doesn't. But it understands that quite possibly attacking Taiwan would lead to a larger war with the United States, Japan, and Australia and other allied nations. Taiwan is an independent state. Whether we say that or not officially, that's what it is. It is a thriving, democratic nation state, and it has to be allowed to exist, and I believe it will continue to exist. But China has other ideas for Taiwan, which could lead to this global outbreak of conflict. And China is indeed preparing for that by identifying strategic areas of the world that it can get into, such as Ethiopia and Eritrea. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.